Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hera TV. My name is Laleh Hancock. I am one of the advisors at Hera. And today I have the great pleasure of chatting with Emma Weaver. Hi, Emma. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Great, great. Where are you?
I am in Ireland. I'm in a little county in Ireland called Fermanagh.
Oh, fantastic. I think from your accent, we gave it away a little bit too. I love the Irish accent. Well, today I want to introduce this incredible empowerment agent that has been in the world for over 23 years. She's focused on mental health and empowering people to not just look at what's going on that most would say is a problem, but actually empowering people to seek from within and really look at the gift of them and ways that they can spread it in the world. So Emma, can you please just share a little bit about your background so that the rest of the world knows the magic that you're creating?
Thank you so much. Yes, I come from a small county in Ireland, as I said, that has benefits to it, and it also, I suppose, has some disadvantages in terms of reach. I have worked 23 years in mental health. I got into mental health when I was at college, and it started off on a placement. And on my first placement, I realised really quickly, and I was quite young at the time, that mental health can impact us all. So when I walked into the room, it was a small room. It was for people who were having mental health issues, as well as people who had recognized mental health conditions. And even at that young age, I remember thinking, that's someone's mum, dad, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, whatever, cousin. And that realization has never left me. And I'm actually glad I realized that so young. And so I predominantly worked in recovery. So you've probably went to your GP, they've referred you on somewhere else, and then by the time you're sitting in front of me, through red tape and everything else, you've probably been unwell for quite a while. So in the later years of my most recent years, I realized it didn't have to get that far, that there surely was something that we could do before you had to jump through all those hoops, make all those calls. And that was even really coming from conversations that I was having with people where there was maybe an issue that had come up or an experience in life that had impacted them, that they didn't get the support that they needed at that time, that would have prevented things getting worse. So that is where Mental Health International started. And so Mental Wealth International is where I go in and work with businesses and companies and gyms and other places to provide mental health support, to provide mental health first aid and workshops. And the lovely thing about Mental Wealth International is it's tailored to your need. And that's what I think is quite important. It's not one size fits all. I think we really need to understand that it's very individual and people are on a different journey. So that's my Mental Wealth International that I talk about. I've also had the pleasure of being a TEDx speaker twice, and I'm an international best-selling author of my book called The Blue Line, which talks about infertility and IVF and different forms of treatment as well. So I'm a bit rounded.
Oh, I love that.
Things that I've done.
Well, I love that. And, I think, my background is also business and wellness. And, I think so often mental health is one of those hidden, things in the world. It's such a taboo for people to talk about it. What it used to be, I think 20 years ago, was very different than what it is today. I think each of us at some point in our lives have hit, where there have been some challenges, some difficulties, and, mental wellness is not just you get put on medication, and so I think a lot of times people notice there's changes going on in their lives. They might have some sadness, some depression, or they're not sure what it is, but there's something that's holding them from really being able to step into the next step in their lives. And like you said, it's sometimes these hidden things that might have been a trauma or a reaction that occurred such a long time ago that we block it,
Yes.
you know? And so I think, you know, I don't think, I know one of the most important things, especially after COVID, is that we no longer hide what's going on from ourselves. It doesn't matter who else you tell, but looking and being honest with yourself to, hey, what am I experiencing here? And seeking something that will assist you in just even talking it out. So can you guide people that are watching? You know, one of the things that I love about Hera is that it's global and that it reaches all ages. So it's not just mental health hits you at a certain age. It really is children, teenagers, adults. We could all be facing mental health issues. So can you guide people and maybe some tools or some things that, even ways to identify it?
That is a great question, and I also agree with what you're saying. I believe what we don't express, or you know, or what we suppress, goes back in again, and it can manifest itself in so many different ways, and people may not recognize this. There's also another part of all this that I believe in, and I know I mentioned it, that it's our responsibility. Nobody else can look after our mental health except for us, as opposed to some extreme conditions. But a mental health issue, at the end of the day, it's us, and we need to attain some form of responsibility for it in terms of reaching out for the help and support that we need. I'm not saying we need to do it all ourselves. We need to be brave. Like 20 years ago, nobody was talking about certain mental health conditions, never mind mental health issues, and we definitely have came forward, and there is more information out there on what it looks like, what depression, anxiety, and different things that you can do. And technology is good in one sense. However, we need to accept it. We need to recognize it, accept it, and act on it. And that's what can make the difference. Now, quite often, if you're depressed, you're unmotivated, you're not able to recognize it within you, you don't know what's going on. You know, I have 3 children, and after I had my second, I definitely was low, but I didn't realize that I was feeling that until I began to feel well. You know, so even if you feel somebody is maybe a wee bit quieter, a wee bit lower, it's our responsibility as well to maybe say, are you feeling okay? Is everything all right with you? And that is equally as important. So I talk about 2 different things. I talk about the 5 ways to wellbeing, which is something that was developed over here by the Public Health Agency. And it's all about maintaining your wellbeing and keeping yourself well. So if it ever happens that something happens in your life, that you've nearly built a bit of resilience to be able to cope with it a wee bit better. And they're nice, simple, easy things that we can do on a daily basis when we're feeling well to maintain our wellbeing, but also if we do hit a wall or become unwell, the resilience has already been built there. There's also another one as well, and I talk about it, and it's knowing your 5. Making sure that you have the right people and support around you when you're feeling well, and equally when you're not well. And I'm talking about maybe someone that's there to motivate you when you need it, somebody that's there that's just a listening ear, but be intentional in who you have as your 5. And it doesn't have to be a person, it can be a group, it can be a hobby, but you know that that keeps you well. Sometimes the key is to be maintaining these things when you're well, so that if something happens in life, and I mean, some of the people that I would have met throughout my career, by the time, you know, they got to the services, maybe it was they had a bereavement in the family, and at that stage it was grief that was the matter, but it just went on that long and there wasn't that much of support. It kind of, the ripple effect and the impact that have, it kind of come into something more so. But knowing that you have the right people around you that can help and support you is so important.
Yeah, you're right. I think one of the things for me specifically is not always the person who's going to be there. Hold on. So, one of the things for me I share with people is also, it's not always the person that you think is there to support you, because you don't want someone who's going to align with you, but really someone who can be there with no opinion and really listen and really be what I call an interesting point of view, meaning they're not saying you're right, they're not saying you're wrong, but they're willing to actually be that space that you require. Sometimes it's the hug that you require, but to also assist you in finding, there's so many resources out in the world. Which one's the one that's going to work for you? Like you were talking about bereavement. When my dad passed away, this was like 13 years ago, I was an executive, and I knew all the resources when it came to business, but I didn't know the resources for senior care, or the other things that were going on in my community that might have helped my dad. And after he passed, I actually required some assistance from some people around me. I didn't have depression, but just my motivation had shifted, and like my purpose in life had shifted, and I realized there was this internal me that I wanted to expand on and grow. And so finding what are the resources that are going to work for you. And also, what are the resources that like you said, your county, your city, your country has available that so often we don't even know about. So can you guide on maybe where people can go look, for resources?
Yeah. And, one of the things that can have a huge impact on people as well, and that's really valid, is loneliness. Loneliness can impact our mental health in ways, and our physical health, believe it or not, in ways and people don't realize. So again, it's what we were talking about. It's knowing what's available to you. So, here we can avail of telephone support. We can avail of counseling support. Now, I believe in counseling support. I think going to that non-judgmental, as you say, listening ear of someone that is not emotionally attached to you or the outcome, that is holding that space for you, that may give a different perspective, but allow you to work out the thoughts in your head as well. Because sometimes, if we're feeling down or low, we're potentially living in the past. And if we're anxious, we're living in the future. So someone to bring us mindfully to that space. I also believe if people don't have the resources to do that, there's a lot that you can do from home, like keeping a journal, getting your thoughts down. And just on a personal level, I like to meditate just to give me headspace that I really need. But everybody can find something different. So whether you want to go external, and reach for counseling, or go to yoga or work out, I do talk to people and say we need to try lots of different things, and that's like what you said. So give everything a try, but work out what you're doing when you feel well, because it's so different for everybody. See, and sometimes it's back to basics. Get out into nature. It doesn't have to be complicated. Meet up with a friend afterwards for coffee, read a book. See if you've done all those things in one day, you're hitting your 5 well-being targets in a day. So I mean, it's accessible to all if we know where it is. I also think support groups are a great resource for people. So whether it's bereavement, whether it's infertility, whether it's an anxiety, whether it's whatever, support groups allow you to feel heard. They allow you to feel that you belong in a wider community and that somebody understands you. And sometimes people don't like to burden those that are close to them, so they hold it all in. Just go out, go external, go outwards. But so important, find the support.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll find different moments in your life you require different things, and like you said, that beginning part, you said one size does not fit all. Like I can tell you personally, for me, I travel around the world. Like I've been in, since you and I started talking, I've been in 5 different countries in the last 2 months, and every country, every city has its own equilibrium, has its own energy, and people are different. And so what's going on in the world, as a bigger world can impact us, but also what's going on in our neighborhoods can impact us. So like you said, nature is one of those things that's here, doesn't
Yeah.
ask for much, I mean, look at the tree behind me,
Beautiful.
I
Yes.
mean, just looking at that tree relaxes my body. So like like you said, create the habits now
Yes.
before the problem. And then that moment when have different things going on, explore, bring it forward. I'm a note taker. I like writing. I like typing in my phone or my computer. And so I do audios, I have audios I listen to. Like you have to find what is it that allows you to be you,
Yes.
knowing that you have all this noise around you as well, and what part of the noise is your noise and what part is you're perceiving the noise. So that's the other thing that I've found is like, so often I'm like, oh, I'm like getting sad and I'm like, wow, I was so happy 5 seconds ago. What happened? And I realized, no, I'm perceiving the person near me who's sad. So
Yeah.
it's also like really getting tools that empower us to be more of us.
Yes. And I genuinely believe we need to give ourselves space to do that. You cannot be around people all of the time. And I know silence scares some people because it's their own thoughts in their head that can be scary. However, you're not going to overcome that on your own, or if you don't allow the space. And that's where resilience is built as well. And I suppose it's worth saying as well, positive mental health is not a given. We have to work on it. There's a lot goes on in the world today, and it's so open, whether it's through social media or if you're partial to watching television. Mental health is not a given. We need to maintain it. We need to know what works for us and keep working at it. It's every bit as important as your physical well-being, if not more so. And I mean, we have to keep ourselves fit and out there and active. And it's the same. It's the same with our mental health and well-being.
Definitely, definitely. Well, we are here on Hera TV, and I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm just curious, the first city is actually going to be starting to be built this year. But I'm curious, like, what's your vision of Hera? What would you foresee in 5 years? Where is Hera, and what is it contributing to?
Well, you're not going to believe it. I was actually thinking of that in terms of the first city and the future of humanity and going forward and creating different cultures and sharing with people that it's all right to have different beliefs. However, humanity is all coming together and to bring forward the idea of peace, because peace is the answer, peace and love. And I feel Hera brings that forward, whilst obviously working towards the dignity of women, females worldwide. It's a collective approach. And I like that. I feel that holistic approach, including everybody while holding the values that we started out with, is going to be the way forward in creating a new way for people.
Yeah. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
It is. I know. I was like, oh my goodness, the thought behind it and the idea and the forward thinking, that the change that it can make, especially collectively, and the inclusion is amazing.
Well, and what I love is the inclusion with the earth as well. So,
Yes.
when we talk about humanity, we cannot have humanity without the planet. So,
That's right.
everything about this is a green city as well, and really taking into consideration, how can we create with the earth in what we're creating? And so that gets me so excited.
I believe we're all one. So you cannot have one without the other. You cannot have the earth without us. Nature is us. We are nature. So by going back and honoring that and working with it as opposed to against it, that's where the change is going to be made.
Yes, definitely. So we've come towards the end of our show, and I'm curious, do you have some recommendations? Do you have any tools? What is it that you would be sharing with people out in the world, especially women, like empowering women? What would you say?
Especially for women, because we take on a lot. We do a lot of stuff.
Yes,
So
we
start
do.
your day Start your day earlier than everybody else. I know it's hard and we are tired. I am too. But see the difference that my day is if I get up just that wee bit earlier to just bring a wee bit of time for myself. And there's another thing that I like to say, and this is especially to women, is no is an answer. You don't have to explain yourself. No is an answer. When setting boundaries, or if somebody's asking you something, honor yourself, and no is an answer. And the last thing I like to say to people as well is you do you. Just be you, and that is enough.
Oh my goodness. 3 of the most favorite things on my list. Definitely. Thank you so much for being here, Emma. I'm so grateful for you. And thank you all for being here as well and watching this with us. And truly, what else is possible? If you have any questions, go to heracity.org. And we would love to hear from you guys. And also, please share this. You know, where else could we be sharing just everything Emma was talking about, empowering people to have more mental well-being and really being able to make that spread around the world, you know, and each of us has to be a leader in that. So thank you so much, Emma. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye-bye.